Today's lesson is going to be thinking all about gradient, and really we're thinking about connected gradients. So for example, there's two situations that we're going to be really interested in, these two. Now the first one is these lines here, which are, and hopefully you recognize these, are parallel lines. Now if you've got two parallel lines, the slope of those two lines is identical. And the bit of a line equation that describes the slope is the gradient. So, and this is a fact you might well know from Nat 5. So if lines are parallel, their gradients are equal. So there is fact number one. Two lines are parallel and their gradients are equal. So if we have y equals m1x plus c, so some gradient and some y-intercept, and y equals m2x plus c, then in this situation we have that m1 equals m2. So our two gradients, just using m for a gradient, the two gradients are equal. Our second situation that we're interested in is this one, where they're meeting at a right angle. Now the fancy maths word for that, bit of a reminder, perpendicular. Okay, and if two things are perpendicular, well, the steeper this gradient gets, if I make this gradient really steep, then this one's going to be the opposite direction and it's going to be really shallow. So it kind of makes sense. If this one is downhill, that one's uphill. So if this one's negative, then the one at right angles will be positive. If we take the one that's positive, the one at right angles will be negative. So we're expecting some kind of swap from negative to positive or positive to negative. The other thing that we're expecting is if the steeper this one is, then the shallower that one is. So we expect as one of them gets very, very steep, the other one to get much shallower. The connection here, if we call this y equals m1x plus c, and this y equals m2x plus c, so we've got our two lines, gradients m1 and m2, then here, if they are perpendicular, if the lines are perpendicular, and we've got a fancy phrase for this, the gradients are negative reciprocals. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, this negative reciprocals, that's a bit of a fancy phrase. It means that m1 is equal to minus 1 over m2. There's our nice fact. There's a second way we can write this. If we multiply both sides of this equation by m2, and this is a way that we will write it a lot, m1 times m2 equals minus 1. That's something we're going to write a lot, as we're going to use this fact quite a bit. So we're going to do a couple of examples where these two ideas turn up. We're particularly going to focus in on the perpendicular because parallel you should have met a bit last year, but there will be questions involving parallel lines and questions involving perpendicular lines in today's lesson. Okay, I'll see you in the next video for a few examples.